B-E-N-D-E-R, Bender. Oh, hey there, fellow maker. We're back from Dragon Con and we had the time of our lives. There were so many good costumes. And believe it or not, my friends even made an impromptu Builderan flash mob. No one was more surprised than I was, or touched. It was really incredible, and our boy Bender was a huge hit! We're gonna jump into a deep dive on Bender and the whole experience we had at Dragon Con, but first, I wanna encourage you to start a project that you don't know how to finish. A year ago, I embarked on this project with the soft goal of bringing it to Dragon Con. And at the time, I only knew how to do about half of what I needed to accomplish, and I was positive that I would figure out the other half during the journey. And that's exactly what happened. And I know it can be really daunting to embark on an ambitious project, especially when you don't know how to finish it, but this is me giving you permission to go down that journey anyway. Look, humans can make all sorts of amazing things, and if you see another human being make a robot, guess what? You can figure out how to do it too, and that's exactly what I did. I was able to lean on the bot builders, especially the folks over at the Kyber control group. Super helpful people, and they filled the gap of knowledge that I was missing to bring Bender into reality. So if knowledge is the only thing preventing you from starting on a project, I say get started anyway. You'll figure it out along the way. And that's what we did with Bender. There's still a lot of things I want to do to him, but we got him in a really fun and workable state to bring him to Dragon Con and make a lot of people smile. And that's exactly what we did. The first thing I want to cover today is how we got him from our house in Seattle to the Marriott in Atlanta. So Bender comes apart in several pieces. The head comes off and the car separates from the RC body underneath. I was able to nest Bender's head in the car body, and that all went in one hard shell container. And then the RC car part went in another hard shell container. So we had two pieces of luggage to bring him there and back. All of the batteries for him came with me on my carry-on. I even got a LiPo bag to store all the batteries in, just in case there's any mishaps. That seemed prudent. And overall, he traveled really well. There is a little bit of cosmetic damage that happened to him bumping around in the luggage. I could have packed him a little bit better. Nothing I can't fix. And other than one thing that broke, I'll get to that in a second, he's ready to go for the next convention. And I'm hoping I can bring him out in Seattle whenever there's an opportunity. He'll definitely be at Emerald City Comic Con this year. Like I said, during the convention, he was a huge hit and a lot of things went well. When we last left off, he only had one saying,
"Fight my shiny metal ass."
In between then and the convention, I animated about 30 other sayings for him to be able to both emote with his eyes and say with the speaker in there. And on my controller, I have them all programmed right here. In fact, I have 2 pages worth of sayings that I can use to yell at people or to interact with people. And I had a lot of fun stuff set up for specific events. So we spent a lot of time in elevators. Every time I rolled into an elevator, he said this.
"This is the Brooklyn-bound B train making local stops at wherever the hell I feel like. Watch for the closing doors. Boom, boom."
And that killed every single time people were piling into the elevator. Of course, every time when people were leaving the elevator, he said this.
"All right, show's over. No refunds. You heard the robot. Get out."
Perfect. Killed every time, and I had a new audience every couple of floors. There's lots more fun stuff. We didn't want people touching Bender, so if anyone tried, he would say this.
"Quit touching my junk, pervert!"
Again, slayed every single time. And then he would just
"Hey, rich girl,
go around
here. It's me, Bender.
making a racket.
Being entertaining. Look at my head. It's okay, look at my head. I got big old head, and then hey ho! All right, show's over. I'm tired."
So it was a lot of that all weekend long, and I just got to press these buttons and make people smile. I've done some other fun things with the controller and with the Kyber board that we have set up in there. So when I steer this, it steers the wheels so he can drive around, but it also turns his head and moves his eyes, so he actually looks in the direction where he's driving. So whenever he's just driving around the convention, it really looks like he's just kind of checking everything out. I also tied the up and down on this to his eyes so that he can actually look at people. So I could have him look over at you and then look up or down to lock eyes. This was a ton of fun. I would roll up to people, look at them, and then you would say something. Children were absolutely transfixed by this guy. They would kneel down and stare him in the eyes. One kid even took a picture of Bender with his little digital camera, and then he turned it around to show Bender. It's just adorable. So much fun. I'm learning that the bot builders love these things because they're just joy machines and you get to have all these fun interactions with people at the convention. So we were able to take him out every single day at DragonCon. We were there for 5 days and we had him out for about 5 hours each day. We had to take multiple trips once his battery would die. It was the car battery, the RC car battery, that died before anything else. That's what we had to go back and recharge. But if I had had a second one, I could have swapped it out on the fly and he could have stayed out for a lot longer. And of course that depended on whether or not he was driving on carpet or how far he drew as far as how long he would last. And like I said, I was just overjoyed with the performance. He was great. Now everything didn't go perfectly. There were a few things that went wrong and we'll be able to address those. There was some cosmetic damage. Most of the damage on Bender here came from travel, although I did run the car into a couple of things. Nothing too bad, and I was fully expecting to take some cosmetic damage. The suspension was a little goofy. I think I have to go in and just fully replace the springs in there with something stiffer. And then one piece broke. This is the spur gear that moves his neck back and forth. And it was on a metal servo pivot, and that eventually just stripped. I printed a new one to put in there, but eventually I'd like to make this out of something more robust. I could actually cut this out of aluminum on the CNC machine if I feel like it's necessary, or I could just print a bunch of these extra and keep them on them. One of the other issues is the Bluetooth speaker. While it is perfectly loud here,
Well, we're boned.
at the convention you couldn't hear him at all. So I just have a Bluetooth speaker in there and it's a little anemic. Eventually I'm going to upgrade that to something with a lot more power. Also, because I have to reach in there to turn the speaker on, it's actually pointing into the hood on his car, and I feel like it should be pointing down. So there's some improvements to be made with the speakers. There's a bunch of options. People were telling me about, I think, inductive speakers that I could attach to the inside of his car body here that would reverberate and create a lot more sound. So that's something we're gonna look into. Can't wait to make Bender even louder. And then finally, inside his neck, there is a wire or a set of wires that go down into the car to connect the two, and these kept getting sucked into the gears here. This is just an oversight in the design. I ended up taping some zip ties in there to make it work for the show so I didn't destroy those wires, but I'll have to come up with a more permanent solution for that. Other than that, everything went really, really well. I also have been inspired for some more upgrades. I was hanging out with the bot builders a whole bunch. They have their whole area over in the Marriott at DragonCon. In fact, Tim Hebel, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, Tim, I met him there and he had a bot that he had been working on that I followed and was able to learn a bunch about the Maestro servo controllers from a video that he put up on YouTube. So I'm really happy that I got to meet him and a bunch of the other bot builders, and I got a lot of great ideas from them. I also hung out with my buddy Wayne, who's got, among other bots, Ghostbusters RTV. We even did a little mock race, which was super fun. Wayne's a good buddy and he's been encouraging me to build a bot for the whole year. So thanks for hanging out, Wayne. As for Bender, some of the upgrades we'd like to do are things like the animated mouth. We weren't able to get to that before DragonCon, so that's pretty high on my list. Of course, I want to add more sayings to Bender. Like, for some reason, I never got him going, "Let's go already," which is something he says all the time. So if you have some fun Bender quotes that you think I should add to him, please put them in the comments. I'd be happy to go grab them and add them. I also have some tweaks I want to make to his whole eye system. I would really love it if he had lower lids. We'll see if we can fit those in there. That would require a redesign of pretty much everything. I also think I can do a more elegant job of setting up the servos in there, maybe using fewer servos to get the same effect. There's a lot of improvements to be made inside his face there. I also want to add accessories. DragonCon really begs for accessories and different versions of a costume. For example, any number of hats. In fact, we can remove his antenna here and throw a hat right on him if we want to. What sort of funny hats would Bender like? The sky's the limit. I also, of course, want to get a little cigar for his mouth, maybe a way to shoot a flame out of it. I want to have a rust beard that I can slap on his face when he's sober. Maybe a little trailer for the car so we can bring drinks around the convention. Obviously, a giant pair of sunglasses would be great, and some sort of party mode would be awesome. Maybe underlighting RGB LEDs down here to really sort of let the party free. I don't know. You guys are gonna have better ideas than I do, so please, again, post them down in the comments. Any accessories or fun modes we can add to our boy here. So there you go. That is the update on Bender. Huge success, and we have a lot more fun we want to do with him. Now that said, I'm probably going to take a short break from Bender projects for a couple of months because it's been a lot. But rest assured, we'll be getting back to this guy pretty soon. Especially, I'm sure once you guys give me ideas, I'm going to be super motivated to get to work on him. This was a ton of fun, both building it and especially playing around with him at the show with other people. I want to build more bots. I have the knowledge now, I have the equipment now to get me where I want to go. I want to build an RTV, a little trap driving around. I also really want to build a Wally. There were 2 of them there, and I just fall in love with Wally every time I see him. That's a huge build. Probably won't start that for a year or 2, but rest assured that is on my bucket list. If you want to see Wally, let me know. And like I said at the beginning, if you want to embark on a project like this, but you don't know how to do some of it, get started anyway. When you tell the universe that you're into a thing, the universe is going to respond with some amount of help. At least that's the experience I had. I wouldn't have gotten him over the finish line without the help from a bunch of other talented and kind makers. So thank you everyone in the Kyber control group that helped me out. Thank you all my friends who encouraged me. That'll wrap it up from our boy Bender in the shop today. What else does he have to say?
So long, coffin stuffers!
Another hit. He yelled at so many people. Thank you for watching. This has been such a fun project. I'm so happy to have so many of you along for the ride and so many people excited to see Bender at DragonCon. That'll wrap it up from this one. I'd like to send a special thanks over to our supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. It's because of you that we can keep doing these videos, and we could really use your support right now. I'll have a link down below where you can join for just a few bucks a month. That money goes a long way to helping us do what we do here. The hundreds of you who have jumped in over the years, and I want to thank each and every one of you. Thanks, keep it up, we'll keep making awesome videos. That's it for me and our buddy Bender in the shop today. One more time.
Enough of your mindless chit-chat. Let's get going.
You heard him. We'll see you in the next build. Bye.